As one of the speakers pointed out, let the stories of success of SOEs highlighted in this conference be translated into knowledge and passed on to inspire persons, institutions, and countries. With these few words, let me move forward with the program to invite the dignitaries to the dais for the valedictory function. Let me also invite Mr. Sukomal Sen, the Senior Vice Chairman of the All India Government Employees Federation, India. Mr. M.M. Lawrence, General Secretary, CITU State Committee, Kerala. Shri K. Padmakumar, Secretary, RIAP. As well as Dr. K. Gopakumar. Hearty welcome to the dignitaries once again. May I now request Dr. K. Gopakumar to formally welcome the dignitaries and the delegates.
Honorable Minister for Industries and Commerce, respected Minister for Finance, Dr. T.M. Thomas Isaac, and other dignitaries on and off the dais. We are in the concluding session of this international conference on the resurgence of state-owned enterprises. For the last 2 days, in fact, it was very hectic. Serious discussions were held involving the international community of academicians, political activists, trade union leaders, and experts of corporate governance. It was a real experience of knowledge sharing and intellectual discourse. May I now welcome the dignitaries. Sri Elamaram Karim, the Honorable Minister for Industries and Commerce, has been always the guiding force behind the Industries Department and other related institutions for the resurgence of the state-owned enterprises that has been acclaimed world over now. May I now welcome on behalf of the organizers Sri Elamaram Karim, the Honorable Minister for Industries and Commerce. The finance department in every government is famous for its procedural lethargy and delaying mechanisms. However, the Industries Department is extremely happy that under the command of Dr. T.M. Thomas Isaac, the Honorable Minister for Finance, the department has been able to achieve and do a lot for the resurgence of state-owned enterprises. The PSUs in Kerala owe too much to Dr. T.M. Thomas Isaac, the Honorable Minister for Finance. I welcome, sir, on behalf of the organizers and the Industries Department. Comrade Sukumal Sen, the Senior Vice Chairman, All India Government Employees Federation, is a senior political and trade union leader who was in the technical sessions also highlighted the importance, relevance, and role of the SOEs, and has been always associating with our activities of the resurgence of the enterprises under the government. I welcome Comrade Sukumal Sen on behalf of the organizers. Comrade M.M. Lawrence, General Secretary of CITU State Committee, Kerala, who is a very senior trade union leader, who has been heading the major trade unions in many of the public sector undertakings. I, on behalf of the organizers, welcome Comrade M.M. Lawrence. I welcome Mr. Padmakumar, Secretary RIAP, who was working extremely or contributing so much for conducting this conference, and is one of the major forces in reviving the public structure in Kerala and closely associating with the Ministry of Industries. I welcome Mr. Padmakumar on behalf of the organizers and all other dignitaries, the participants, delegates. We are all thankful to you for assembling here and contributing much for the cause of state-owned enterprises. I welcome all of you to be for participating in this valedictory session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This valedictory function is presided over by the Honorable Minister for Commerce and Industry, Mr. Elamiram Karim, who is the driving force behind this conference. Let me request him to deliver the presidential address.
Dr. Thomas Isaac, Minister for Finance, Government of Kerala. Shri Sugumolsan, Shri M.M. Lawrence, Shri Padmakumar, His Excellency, Ambassador of Cuba, he is with us in the audience. Comrade Mahadevan and AKP also here, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Kerala, Shri T. Balakrishnan. Delegates from abroad and all other honorable delegates. It's a matter of immense pleasure that a number of dignitaries from various continents representing academics, political sphere and working class movement assembled here for discussing the cause of resurgence of state-owned enterprises for these 2 days. It was a great experience to learn from them and to exchange the ideas. These sessions were true platforms of knowledge sharing and serious discourses. I'm happy to state that the exercise was not futile. All except some were expressing their commitment to the state-owned enterprises and were highlighting the role of state-owned enterprises in strengthening the national economy and for building up an egalitarian society. Numerous suggestions for strengthening the PSUs were also put forward. As Professor Jomo has rightly said that the problems of SOEs are not often problems of ownership per se, but the absence of explicit, feasible, achievable goal, or too many often contradictory goals. These issues can be solved through better governance systems based on more transparency, accountability, better incentives, etc. Many countries resorted to massive privatization of PSUs, arguing that privatization will bring in more efficiency. But the experience was otherwise. Even those countries which were in the forefront of privatization was forced to withdraw from this exercise because of the adverse impact it had on the public life. In all those countries where massive privatization took place, main sufferers were primarily the common masses. In all the discussions, a common factor was noticed. That is, in various countries, the state-owned enterprises were disinvested or privatized not for the benefit of their national economy. It was as per the directions of neoliberal capitalist institutions and the national governments were forced to succumb to the dictates of mainly getting financial support from international financial organizations. The main conditions included the dilution of public ownership in the enterprises. Second point was that the SOEs were privatized for infusion of the so-called efficiency. The efficiency standards of private sector and the public sector are distinct and different. Whereas the motivating factor of the private sector is only maximizing the profit even at the cost of public welfare and environment. The efficiency of SOEs should be measured with a different yardstick, not exclusively by the amount they are earning as profit. The public benefits, upgrading of the living standard of the common mass, protection of ecology, employment generation, etc. are also the objective of state-owned enterprises. As Professor Prabhat Patnaik said, the public sector cannot and should not function like private sector. If both sectors are functioning with the same basis, the objective did not need SOEs. Even the arguments that private sector functions better have not been substantiated. In India, for example, the best performing business enterprises are mainly in public sector, and without compromising on the social objectives, they are performing better. Of course, I do admit that there are many SOEs functioning very poorly. For sustaining the state-owned enterprises, they are to be made efficient, competitive, and self-reliant. Here comes the principles of better corporate governance. But the issue is that in the SOEs also, what we are implementing are the governance principles mainly designed for the private corporates. We need to develop corporate governance principles suitable for the SOEs. As said by inaugural address, the issue of efficiency is not solely related to the ownership structure. It is coupled with the management of the enterprises. A number of suggestions have come up in this conference for improving the management of SOEs. We will consolidate the recommendations, analyze them, look at the relevance to Kerala, and will implement those that are useful. Create a roadmap for the next 5 years based on the success stories and systems presented here that can be accepted and replicated. This conference is not an end. It is just another means to improve the performance of SOEs. I suggest that there must be a permanent platform for future interactions. There must be recurrent meetings, and a channel should be created for transforming the ideas developed in the interaction to the policymakers and executives. With the permission of all of you, the state of Kerala can take a lead in this direction. I thank you all once again for assembling here, accepting our invitation, and hope that in spite of heavy discussions, opportunities were taken to enjoy the beautiful tourist spot. I wish to meet you all shortly and take forward the cause of SOEs together with more strength, enthusiasm, and vigor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Sri K. Padmakumar, Secretary Riyadh, to announce the name of dignitaries so as to receive the mementos from the Honorable Minister. The chief guest of the day is the Honorable Minister for Finance, Government of Kerala, Dr. T.M. Thomas Isaac, who has always been a friend and advocate of the public sector. Let's now request him to deliver the valedictory address.
Respected Chairman, Honorable Minister of Industries, Sri Elamaran Karim, and Honorable friends, everything must come to a close. This conference is nearing its end. I heard from my colleague that you all had 2 days of very fruitful deliberations regarding the various dimensions of recent research in SOEs. I regret I couldn't be here for the past sessions. These are occupational hazards of being a minister. Often you are not master of your time. The world we live in today, the first decades of the 21st century, is very, very different from the post-World War years. Those decades were remarkable for very rapid expansion of the public sector, and our present decade has witnessed a collapse of the public sector. Today, this conference is concluding with a note of optimism. There are signs of resurgence of state-owned enterprises. And I'm happy that the success of our efforts in the state of Kerala has contributed to this sense of optimism that prevails in this conference. And I'm also very happy to have had this opportunity to be a participant in this exciting work that has been going on in the state the last 5 years for restructuring and revitalizing the public sector. The public sector units in Kerala has played a very important role in the development of industries in the state. For historical reasons, which I do not want to enter into now, the private enterprise was not forthcoming into the industries in the first and second decades of post-independence period in the state. It was in this context, right from the 1960s, state made a very determined effort to start pioneering public sector units. And therefore, you find a large number of public sector units in the state. But we did commit certain serious mistakes. One, which I think is the most important, we made the SOEs appendages of the industries department, government. They were not given the sufficient autonomy, allowed to have professionalism they required, and it led to serious inefficiency. Secondly, we started too many of them without looking into economies of scale, and very soon were burdened with, technological, backwardness, lower productivity, and attendant problems. And so much so, by 1970s, the public sector became a burden on the treasury as a drain. The accumulated losses were increasing. And it was in this context that, as part of the liberalization agenda in the state, India, there was a move to privatize the public sector units in the state. It was seriously resisted by the left and the trade unions. And the present left government put forth a bold policy of restructuring the public sector enterprises. And it was also aided by, lack of fiscal conservatism in the finance ministry also. Now, I do not want to enter into how it was done, why it became successful and so on, which I am certain have been very well presented and discussed in this conference. But I think there are two very important reasons, and I want to underline them. One is the changes in the governance. The boards were allowed to function, and professional management at the top level was selected, and they are being given greater autonomy to independently perform. I think that is very, very important. Now that these units have become, successful, profitable, there may always be political temptation to meddle with them as in the past. And this is a grave danger Kerala has to guard against. Second reason is the support received, cooperation received from the workers. Now, there's a background to it. Background was the militant struggles organized by the left and the trade unions to protect these industries, public sector. And the restructuring revitalization program came as a continuation of these struggles. In fact, many of the reorganization programs were drawn up as part of the struggles in the in the early part of this decade. And therefore, there was a sense of ownership among the workers, and this is very, very important. But now, the public sector has become a success. There is every possibility erosion of the spirit, which I feel is yet another danger that is lurking before us. Now, I think the success of state-owned enterprises in the state, in Kerala, has very, very important messages. Economic, political, and ideological. In economic terms, these enterprises have ceased to be a drain on the exchequer. This year, from the budget, 55 crores of rupees was set apart for SOEs. And I find that the enterprises have given back as dividends to the state 30 crores of rupees. After putting aside some 150 crores for investment, for expansion. That's a creditable achievement. But I want to go one step forward and say that today the public sector has become a very important instrument in the fiscal policy of the state. Not only it is not a drain, but it's going to be a very active instrument to promote alternative fiscal policy. The state government in India is part of the federal system and is constrained by the larger federal fiscal framework.